just as the political elites and governments of the major European nations, along with their entire misguided policies, are rapidly losing their relevance one after another, dragging the rest of the continent down with them. The spectacle of grandstanding and hypocrisy is intensifying in direct proportion. While the European Union's leading figures have been lambasting wayward Hungary with a vengeance, or more recently weeping over the dying freedom of the press in Slovakia, labeling them Russian lackeys and Putin's henchmen, and a steady stream of disparaging epithets, each trying to outdo the other, rolls off the assembly line. These, amid the noisy celebration of the mainstream Western press, culminate in infringement proceedings and financial blackmail, only for the veil to be lifted from time to time on the hypocrisy of the European Union's bigwigs, or at least a few of its nuances, since we can't possibly know all 50. The champions of open information don't rub everything in our faces. As an aside, in the UK, which is almost part of the EU, it's not even worth learning the names of the heads of government. They change so frequently it's like the polka and the waltz at a dance school. In Germany, the patriots are gaining ground on the chancellor and the governing coalition, and in France, the state apparatus of a president with no support is trying to rein in the leader of the largest opposition party with shackles. And these are the ones threatening war and deterrence, even as they go to bed at night with no idea what the morning will bring. So the weaker a government, president, or chancellor is, the more it kicks up a fuss and tries to act tough. All, of course, to the even greater glory of democracy. End of parenthesis. I read the other day that ever since Europe's all-powerful rulers have been forcing Vladimir Putin to his knees and punishing him by cutting us off from Russian crude oil and natural gas, Western European countries have been receiving nearly the entire volume of liquefied natural gas, LNG, produced in Siberia. For example, at the port of Zeebrugge in Belgium. Yes, you read that right, they aren't turning it away. They'd only order us, the boot-wearing Central European serfs, to do so. The numbers speak for themselves. In the first 4 months of this year, 91 tankers carrying Russian natural gas docked at Western European ports, while in China, the number was just 2. The ugly Russian war machine has grown richer by 3.88 billion euros. According to preliminary estimates, this amount could reach 6 billion euros in the first half of the year. And this business is taking place in line with the European Union's plan, known by its working title REPowerEU. For those who aren't in the know, REPowerEU aims for a complete phase out of Russian energy. But how on earth can this happen? The unsuspecting and underinformed European citizen might ask, as they eagerly await the moment when they can finally do without Russian gasoline, gas, and uranium fuel rods. But no matter how much he taps away at his gadget, he hasn't received a celebratory text from Ursula von der Leyen saying that we've finally defeated the Russian bear. He gets nothing, just as the texts about the vaccine business have vanished without a trace. Yet it would be enough to simply inform the Greek olive growers, the Portuguese winemakers, or the Slovak farmers that the Yamal, the Russian terminal that processes shale gas on site, that is, in Siberia, is bound by a long-term contract with the French giant Total Energies, which holds a 1/5 stake in the Siberian processing facility. And the contract cannot be terminated because European companies, which, surprise, surprise, need natural gas, are unwilling to do so. To make the story even more complicated, shipments from the Arctic terminal are carried out by Arc 7-class icebreaking tankers, which, according to the Financial Times, depend on shipyards in France and Denmark, as that is where their maintenance is performed. So Europe is not only paying billions of euros for Russian natural gas, but is also providing technical and logistical support to the despicable Putin regime. What more can be said? It's almost like something out of a comedy sketch, what Emmanuel Macron said at the Bastille Day military parade about Europe's military resurgence. We've long suspected, of course, that politics isn't really run by politicians, that behind the scenes, giant corporations and banks set the pace and formulate the moral maxims, and they're the ones reading bedtime stories from the Handbook of European Values. But it's still infuriating how they lie to our faces, claiming that all of this is in our best interest. Because hypocrisy is so very European, and we're supposed to conform to them, adapt to them, and wait for their orders, all for the even greater glory of European unity.